Hello friends, welcome to LeggLife. In today's video, we are talking about one of our favorite topics ever. We're talking about Disney Cruise Line.
As you know, we love cruising on Disney Cruise Line, and today we actually dropped to 99 days until our next cruise.
So we thought in celebration of that exciting milestone, we would make this video that we've actually wanted to make for months and months and months. And today we are talking about some of our absolute favorite Disney Cruise Line tips, things that we've learned on our cruises with Disney, things that we wish we knew before we cruised with Disney the first time. Basically, we're taking our Disney cruise knowledge and putting it in your brain.
So we have lots of good tips and tricks, but to keep this video a manageable length, we are going to give you our top 10.
So we may do more videos like this in the future if you guys really love this, where we give additional tips, additional tricks, things that we learn on future cruises. So tell us in the comments below, is this the kind of thing that you love watching from us?
Our number one Disney cruise tip is book the itinerary, not the ship.
So one of the things that I see people talking about online is, should I book the Disney Wonder? Should I book the Disney Dream? Should I book the Fantasy? What should I book? What ship should I book? So we have been on the Disney Dream, which is one of the biggest, newer ships, and we've been on the Disney Wonder, which is one of the oldest, smaller ships. And we had amazing experiences on both. In fact, we have a video that I will link at the eye in the sky as well as down below, where we actually compare our experience on both. And honestly, we kind of loved the smaller, older ship a little bit better. But I would say figure out the itinerary you want to go on and book that, because the Disney cruise ship experience is going to be amazing no matter what ship.
Yeah, Disney doesn't do anything halfway.
Exactly.
So even their smaller, older ships are amazing.
The only exception to that, I would say, like if we get to where we've gone on 3 of the 4 Disney Cruise Line ships, we will probably book the ship because we want to say we've been on all 4 of them. But if you're just kind of getting started in Disney Cruise Line, book the itinerary, don't book the ship.
Yep. Number 2, connect to the Facebook group for your specific cruise.
So it's one of my favorite things is that on Facebook, there are specific groups for every single cruise. Not every single ship, every single cruise. And we have so much fun. As soon as we book a cruise and we know the date we're sailing, we go on Facebook and we search for the Facebook group for our cruise. It lets you connect to people beforehand, so you know some people on the ship. There are some, on our last cruise, we did like a meetup on our first day, so we kind of got to know some people. Yeah. It's a great place just for tips and tricks and resources. And it's kind of this group that you get to like be a part of as everybody's getting excited. We found that the Facebook groups have been a really great resource, not just for ideas, but also for friendship and just excitement heading into your cruise.
Yep, because then you get on the cruise ship and you know people and it's fun.
It is fun. So definitely find the Facebook group for your cruise.
Number 3, don't be afraid to ask.
So if you guys have been to Disney parks or any Disney experience, you know that service is top notch at Disney, and the cruise line is no exception. And one of the things that we found is that if you have a preference, so Sherry and I, like, we really love each other, like, and we love to be together. And so the thought of like sitting with a table full of strangers at dinner on a cruise kind of wasn't our favorite. And so we called Disney Cruise Line ahead and said, hey, is there any way that we could get a table with just us at dinner? It was our 10-year anniversary for our first cruise, and like we just wanted as much us time as we could get.
Like romantic dinners every night.
Absolutely. And Disney made it happen. Now, it's not guaranteed. They can't always. But if you ask, they normally try to make that stuff happen. Yeah. So think about like if you're on the Disney Wonder and you're going to have dinner at Tiana's place. It's awesome if you can sit as close to the stage as possible. So ask. Say, hey, at Tiana's, can I have a seat as close to the stage as possible?
The worst they're going to say is no.
That's right. And so ask this stuff as far in advance as possible. Yeah. Call Disney Cruise Line. Put in your requests. And Disney normally is excellent about trying to make those things, to make those dreams come true. It's kind of what they do.
Number 4, plan ahead.
So you're going to have a great time, right? If you showed up on the boat with like nothing but your reservation, it's going to be a great experience. But you can make it extra magical by just putting forth a little bit of effort beforehand, because there are certain things like the princess gathering. It's the gathering where all of the princesses, or at least normally 5 of them, are in the lobby of the ship, the atrium there, but you need a ticket to go to that. And so plan ahead and like get a ticket for that, or the Frozen meet and greet, or maybe you want to do dinner or brunch at Palo or Remy. These are things that you need to plan ahead. Certain shore excursions excursions, book far out.
Right.
If you want a cabana at Disney's Castaway Cay, you need to plan ahead. So I would say do your research, figure out the things that you really want to experience, and if you need to book those in advance, make sure you do that. I remember on our last cruise, I overheard a family, I think it was the first or second night at dinner, and they were talking about having wanted to do something that had filled up, and it's like, well, sorry, you know what I mean? Like, they're still gonna have a great experience, but it would have been cool if they got to do that. Right. So plan ahead where needed.
Number 5, take Dramamine about 24 hours before you get on the boat.
You know, one of the reasons that we avoided cruising for so long was kind of out of fear and concern about Sherry's seasickness. Pretty much any boat we've gone on, like whale cruises here in Alaska or anything.
Long car rides.
Long car rides even, Sherry gets seasick. And so we thought, probably not a great idea to be in the middle of the ocean on a boat. And so that was a real concern of ours. However, we have learned that it really doesn't need to be. Now, on the very first cruise we went on was on the Disney Dream, and we were about 24 hours away from a hurricane. And there were a crew on the ship that said that those were the worst seas they had seen in their entire experience with Disney.
Like 5 and 6 years on the boat.
Yeah, it was really bad. And that night, you started to get seasick. Because even though it's a big ship, in those kind of seas, you did feel it.
Right.
So Sherry went, they gave us some Dramamine, and you started to feel better once that got into your system.
Yep, the next day I was better.
So one of the things we learned is that if seasickness is even a possibility, just take it about 24 hours before you go on the ship, get that into your system, and the odds are it will not be a problem.
Nope.
On our last cruise, that's what you did? No problems at all.
No problem at all. I mean, we weren't near a hurricane, but I had no problem at all.
Yeah, so if seasickness is something you're concerned about, I would say 90% of the time you don't need to be worried, but take Dramamine before you get on the boat. Don't wait until it gets bad, because then honestly you're going to ruin one of your nights. Just like rough. In the cabin while your husband runs and gets you Sprite all night long.
Thanks, babe.
You're welcome.
Number 6, use your Personal Navigator.
So the Personal Navigator is like the daily calendar that Disney gives you. So when you go to your cabin in the evening, the Personal Navigator for the next day will be on your bed. And it includes everything there is to do on the ship, from the nighttime shows to movies in the theater to special like adult beverage tasting classes, cooking classes, Disney Vacation Club presentations. I mean, everything. And so that's a great resource for you when you are planning your day. One of the things we do when we go back to our stateroom in the evening is we take the Navigator and look and see, okay, what are the things that we absolutely have to do? Like, we try not to plan our day like half an hour. Like, we try not to be too rigid. We are still on vacation. Right. But we do circle and highlight the things that like we really don't want to miss.
Yep, usually 2 or 3 things a day that we're like, okay, we want to make sure we're there.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah. And so use that Personal Navigator. Don't try to like fly by the seat of your pants, because you might miss some pretty cool stuff. The Navigator is a huge resource when you're on ship.
Number 7, have dinner or brunch at Palo or Remy.
Okay, so this is a huge thing that we are like big believers in. All of your meals on board Disney are included, with the exception on 2 of the ships they have both Palo and Remy. On 2 of the ships they have just Palo. Palo is more Italian themed. Remy is more French cuisine. Remy would be considered probably 5-star. I mean, the pinnacle of restaurant experiences. Palo would be just below that. It's Italian and it is delicious.
Amazing.
I think that it's about $30 to $45 a person extra for the meal. But you guys, it is so worth it. It is one of the best dining experiences we have ever had in any location in our entire life.
Yep, and basically for $30.
Yeah, it's complete. I mean, there is no doubt in my mind that it is worth it. Also, if you're on a cruise with an at-sea day, they do a brunch. We've never done that, but the cruise we are going on here in April has 2 at-sea days. So hopefully we're going to be able to get brunch. Sometimes it books up super fast. So I'm going to plan ahead and book that brunch for us. But we really encourage you. Do Palo, do Remy. You will not be disappointed.
Nope. Number 8, don't be afraid to stay on the ship.
So on our first cruise, we thought that you just, maybe you didn't have to get off at every port, but that's kind of what everybody did. And so the very first port we ever pulled into was Nassau in the Bahamas. And we were parked next to a Carnival cruise ship. Now, we've never been on a Carnival cruise ship, but here's one of the reasons that we are such big believers, and even were from that first day about Disney. We pulled into Nassau, and we saw that the ship next to us was almost empty. There were very few people. Like nobody stayed on the ship. But then when you looked at the Disney ship, there were lots of people who stayed on the ship. And one of the things that we learned is that it's because the Disney ship has so much to offer. So when you get to a cruise port, if there's nothing that like really excites you, don't feel like you have to get off the boat. There will be hundreds and hundreds of people who stay on the boat to enjoy everything that Disney Cruise Line has to offer while you're in port.
So our first port was Nassau, and we got off the boat, and it was, I think, like 105 degrees, and super touristy right there, kind of within walking distance. And we hadn't booked any like shore excursions, and we were kind of miserable, so we got back on the boat and we stumbled across a drawing class and we learned how to draw Mickey and Goofy. And I feel like that was a better use of our time.
Yeah, and so now, like on our upcoming cruise, one day we're actually going to do an excursion in one of the ports. Another one of the ports, we're just going to get off the boat and do a little bit of shopping, and then we're getting right back on the boat. So don't feel like you have to leave the ship when you go into port. I promise you, you will not run out of things to do on a Disney Cruise Line.
No, Disney still has like programs the entire time you're in port.
Plus, a lot of people do leave the ship, so a lot of the things that sometimes there's crowds around, you have to yourself, which is pretty awesome.
Number 9, participate in the fish extender.
We have become huge fish extender fans. So that might be a term that most of you don't know, or some of you don't know what it is. In the simplest terms, the fish extender is just an onboard gift exchange with other people on your boat. It will be set up through that Facebook group that we told you about earlier. And basically what happens is that you sign up in, let's say we sign up in fish extender group number 1. There's 9 other staterooms in that group normally, and so there's 10 of us. And we get to know the people's names. Do they have kids? Is it an adults only group? And then you bring gifts and leave them at their staterooms for them while you're on the boat. And the thing that we loved so much about it, one, we had fun like figuring out, okay, what are the gifts we're gonna bring? Like, what do we want to give to other staterooms? But then we really loved coming back to our stateroom every evening and there being like gifts for us at our stateroom. And so there are like there's a whole culture around fish extenders. If you Google like Disney Cruise Line fish extender, you'll see how into it some people get. So we have this thing we bought off of Etsy that like hangs outside of our door that has like a pocket for Adam and a pocket for Sherry. And then people put gifts in there.
It's so fun.
And it's a great way to get to know other people who are on your cruise. It's a great way to get kind of a fun collection of other Disney gifts. And for us, it's a neat experience on Disney that you really wouldn't get otherwise.
And number 10, take advantage of room service.
So as I mentioned earlier, all food is included on Disney Cruise Line except Palo and Remy. And all of the room service is also free, with a couple exceptions like I think M&Ms, like any kind of pre-packaged food you have to pay for.
Alcoholic beverages
you have to pay for, but all of the menu is free. And I've got to tell you, when we go to bed at night, one of the last things we do is we call room service and we say, can we have a plate of warm chocolate chip cookies and a glass of milk? And about 15 minutes later, we get a knock on our door and there's a plate of warm chocolate chip cookies and a glass of milk, and it cost us $0.
And it's amazing.
It is amazing. So take advantage of room service. If you have a room with a veranda, how awesome to just like get coffee delivered to you, get your breakfast delivered, and just sit out there on the deck as the boat glides through the ocean and you get to enjoy eggs. That sounds awesome. So take advantage of room service. Not enough people do that. Even if it's just warm cookies and milk in the evening, that is my favorite room service treat. So thank you guys so much for watching, and leave us a comment below. We would love to know, what are some of your favorite Disney Cruise Line tips? As we said, we have a lot more tips that we would love to share with you in upcoming videos if this is the kind of thing that you would like to see. Thank you guys so much for watching. Give this video a thumbs up. Subscribe to our channel if you have not, because we have a ton of Disney content coming up in 2018, and we cannot wait to share it with you guys. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you soon.